one thing I ask, to dwell in the presence all the days of my life. One thing I ask is like, help me know that all the days of my life, I dwell in the divine presence. Like, what would it be? What would it be if I really knew? Gosh, if I really knew my fears and my tumbles and the beauty and the joys and the pain and the disappointment and all of it. You know, I dwell in the divine presence. I dwell in the divine house. What a beautiful thing to know that. So let's begin there. Let's begin there. I'm going to do a little more singing, just saying hi to everybody. Just so happy to see you. Thank you for being here. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai ota avakesh. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai ota avakesh. Shifti mi beit havaya Kol yemei hayai Lakzot benoam Adonai Ulevaker behechalo Lakzot benoam Adonai Ulevacher behechalo. Can you hear it? So may it be so. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. If you've just come on and you see me on the big screen, you're welcome to look at me. You're also welcome to go back to the gallery where I'm on the big screen because we're recording. You're welcome to go back to the gallery and see everybody as we go in tonight. So thank you for being here. Really, thank you for being here. Thank you for calling forth these teachings. And may our journey together tonight and our journey together on Sunday and our journey together this last week of 5783 be for love and for blessing. May all we explore and all we discover together, and may all that goes forth from our words and our heart and our actions be for the healing of earth and all beings. That our study is dedicated to earth and to all creatures and to the healing of the whole. Can you hear it? So may it be so. May it be so. So here we are, pretty much the last week of 83. The last week, here we are, pretty much the last week of 5783. Readying ourselves to, step up to the threshold of a new year. And the tradition teaches, that, the tradition loves this stuff, right? I love this stuff too, that, when we come to this last week, everything is kind of accentuated. Everything is highlighted, and the reverberations, the vibrations are really powerful and really strong. And that the spiritual work that we do during this week can have like a very huge effect on our souls, on our beings, and really, can have a huge effect on our souls and our being, and really, help prepare us well to enter into the new year. So I hope that this is helpful in that way for all of us, for our hearts, our souls, our being, the beings that we are, that it helps us align in ways, that's good for us and good for all life. So here we go. So on Rosh Hashanah, we declare, it's declared, Hayom Harat Olam. Hayom Harat Olam. Today, in this very moment, the Olam, the mystery of all, the universe, the entire enterprise of the cosmic mystery is being conceived. Hayom Harat Olam. The entire, this Olam, this mystery, this universe, this eternity, the enterprise of the cosmic mystery is being conceived. Hayom Harat Olam. When we enter into Rosh Hashanah, we are stepping into the moments before creation, before it comes to be. where everything is still in potential. That when we declare Hayom Harat Olam, that creation is, I'm going to say literally, I know that's kind of a weird thing to say here, but just let's go with this, right? Creation is literally being conceived anew. Creation is beginning again, and we are entering into this moment and declaring that everything is in potential. Everything is in potential, and all is possible. All is possible. We are stepping into the realm of potential and possibility. And as we do, as we step into, as we cross the threshold into Rosh Hashanah, as we cross the threshold into this moment, our souls, our beings kind of, they kind of like, there's this response from our souls, our beings to return and realign as creatures, to return and realign as creatures among creatures, to realign as creatures among all life. As we step into Rosh Hashanah, the soul kind of, it lights up, the soul remembers, whoa, we're not king, I'm not king, you know, humans aren't king. There's this response from our being that we are creatures among creatures, creatures among all life. And that there's a sense of this soul comes in, and the turning happens for us to realign as creatures whose lives are in harmony with creation, for the good and the benefit of all. It's like, in a way, from our tradition, it's a cosmic principle. We step into this moment when everything is a potential, and we come in and realign as creatures among all creation. And the mystics teach that the way we enter the Rosh, we say Rosh Hashanah, Rosh means head, right? It's the head of the year. And what the mystics teach is that the way that we enter the Rosh, the way that we enter the head of the year, shapes the year. It shapes the unfolding of the year for us, and crazily for the cosmos. And that it's very like that we should take great care of how we enter and how we are in the Rosh, in the head. And they teach us, and I'm sure you guys have heard this teaching in different ways, and we've talked about it over the years, of course. They teach us to enter really with the spacious awareness that we are just like each of us, and even all of us as human beings, are just tiny specks in this, unfathomable universe, right? 13.8 billion years old. We are tiny specks in this infinite, mysterious universe. And at the very same time, everything we do matters, right? Everything we do matters. And to enter with this, not as it being a paradox, not as it kind of like going like this in contention with each other, but with the spaciousness that says, oh my God, I'm such like, I'm here for my short time. We're here for our short time. We're here for a short time. So small, so tiny. And at the very same time, everything we do matters. And to enter into that, like, to have really to kind of this week to really kind of practice the spaciousness that holds both without them, trying to contradict each other, Everything I do matters. To put that in the Rosh, and oh my gosh, I'm so small, and we're so small, and to put that in the Rosh. And then the other deep intention that the mystics teach that we should put into the Rosh, and really begin practicing this week, if not like the whole year, is this sense of like, and I would really mean this literally, and we will do this on Sunday, like to really bow to mystery, to literally lay ourselves down to mystery, to really like, not to pretend that we know, right? There's a sense to enter in and place in the Rosh a willingness to be in mystery and not to feel like we know. And that to really, and this is a big thing, this is a really big thing, to really be able to like at least practice, even if our mind doesn't know this, but even to practice, right, by bowing, to practice by bowing, a sense of surrender to the mystery, that in this moment nothing is known. What will be, how the world will unfold is a mystery, is really a mystery, truly a mystery. Now, I think from my experience, kind of practicing this, playing with this, I have a much easier time with, I'm just a speck and everything I do matters. That I could kind of do this, but that nothing is known and it's all a mystery. And I was reading about this just kind of in some neurological stuff, that the mind just has such a hard time not knowing. The mind needs a story. Even if it's a story of destruction, it's more comfortable to the mind than not knowing. And it is very easy to go into this new year thinking that we know what is going to happen, right? It's very easy to go in and say, yeah, it's catastrophic. I know what's going to happen. And there is a plea, and I'm going to talk about this as we go through. There is a plea from the Rosh, from the cosmos, from the Yamim Noraim, these days of awe, to really, really, really practice bowing to the mystery and say, I do not know, and we do not know. And to like be with that, what arises when we do that. And I was kind of practicing earlier today, and what I was really surprised with was it was kind of frightening. I thought that it would be comforting, and I really kind of thought, oh, this is going to be like a comfortable thing. But I really was like, wow, I was kind of like frightened by that. I thought I'd be very, I don't know, I thought I'd be encouraged. Maybe I could get there. Maybe I would get there, right? But it was just for a moment. But there's a sense of that these holy days, we call them the high holidays. The tradition calls them the Yamim Noraim, the days of awe. The days of awe, when there really is this sense of a call to enter with a trembling, to enter with a trembling, to enter with a trembling, like every single thing I do matters. And, I'm like dust of the earth. And to bow to the majesty of mystery, really to bow to the majesty of mystery and say, I don't know, we don't know. So the holiday, the holy day, Rosh Hashanah, the new year begins with Hayom Horat Olam. All is in potential. And what it says to us, when nothing is known, anything is possible. When nothing is known, anything is possible. And as we bow into the mystery, what we are bringing to the Rosh, and kind of putting into the cosmic Rosh, is this sense that anything is possible. It is not yet written, right? It is not yet written what will be. It is not yet written. And so we step in with like this deep humility, and also with this capacity to be part of the possibility of a new creation unfolding, like a new creation unfolding. When nothing is known, anything is possible. So I want to just pause there for a moment and just invite us just to place our hands on our hearts for a moment. Let me just close our eyes. and feel invited into the mystery. And feel invited into when nothing is known. Anything is possible. Let's just sit for just like a minute or two. When nothing is known, anything is possible. And so this week, we can wonder about, really gently, we can wonder about how can I encourage a sense of mystery for myself? You know, how can I encourage a sense of mystery? One of my friends said that he's going to do prostrations every day. He's just going to do like, I don't know, he's got a lot of, you know, a lot of co-op. He's going to do 5 to 10 prostrations every day. And that's going to help him have a sense of the mystery. You know, for me, I sit with the earth and I sit with the trees, and that helps me have a sense of mystery. And so it doesn't have to be a frightening thing. It doesn't have to be a frightening thing, but just this sense that what we put into the Rosh matters. And so we come, everything we do matters, just a tiny speck. And I bow to the majesty of mystery. I bow to the majesty of mystery. And in doing that, we kind of embody the sense that we are participants and subjects of the mysterious unfolding, right? We're participants and we are just subjects, you know, creatures, part of the creation. So we spend 2 days of Rosh Hashanah in prayer and practice to help us, you know, return as creatures, to help us return as part of the cosmic creation, you know, to the whole 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, to help us return to the infinite mystery and be aligned as creatures here for healing and love, right? The whole idea of Rosh Hashanah, to return to be aligned as creatures with creation that are aligned for goodness and for life. Aligned in harmony with creation for goodness and for life. And there's a lot of liturgy, there's a lot of practice, and there's a lot of pageantry, you know, to Rosh Hashanah. And as we've talked about over the years, there is one mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah in all this pageantry and all this, all the liturgy. There is one mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah. And the one mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah, probably familiar to some of us, is Lishmoa Kol Shofar, is to hear the call of the shofar. This is the mitzvah. If you don't do anything else, right? If you want to fulfill Rosh Hashanah, then to fulfill Rosh Hashanah, we listen for, and hear the call, the Kol Shofar. Kol meaning voice, call, sound of the shofar. And to hear the call of the shofar, right? The call of the shofar, the call of the ram's horn. And the sense of to hear the call of the shofar, to wake up like our deepest soul core. Like it pierces all kind of the human defenses that we need in our lives just to kind of go on and be human, right? But it pierces right through that. None of our defenses can stand up against the kol shofar. It pierces all the defenses, and it wakes up that core place, that nikudah, that point in ourselves where we are connected to all beings. It pierces it shatters and pierces every illusion of separation. Every illusion of separation, and it kind of like lights up in our being the essential awareness of the interconnection of all, right? It pierces anything that is in the way. It just goes right through it. And the kol shofar, the vibrations, just the sound of the vibrations, what it does, the mystics teach, is that it realigns our souls, that it actually kind of with the sounds of the shofar, when you have the shofar service right after the Torah service, there's 100 calls. There's 100 vibrations. And what it does is it realigns our soul with the unfolding creation, right? Hayom Harat Olam. It's being conceived. It's coming through right now. And what the shofar does is it aligns our soul in this cosmic unfolding. And it also, what it also does, the tradition teaches, is it wakes up our soul and reminds our soul that we came into this world with a vision, that our soul came into this world with a vision. And not only in the course of our lives do we forget what our vision was, we forget that we even had a vision. We forget that we even had a mission. And so what the shofar does is, again, it pierces and it wakes us up, and it reignites and relights the vision that has been implanted in our soul for us to fulfill. And the beautiful thing that the mystics teach is that we don't even have to name the vision. We don't even have to name it or even know what it is. But as we enter into Rosh Hashanah and listen to and kind of get into the vibration of the shofar, the soul gets realigned, and then we enter into the new year aligned to live into that vision. Even if we don't name it, even if we can't name it, we are aligned to live into it. And the other piece that the mystics teach that the shofar does is that it frees us from captivity. Really that's an interesting concept, I thought. It frees us from captivity. And it frees us from captivity of the thoughts, the habits, the fears that we have lived with our whole life. It frees us from captivity of the ancestral burdens that we've been carrying. It frees us of the captivity of what we have felt like we've been stuck in, so we can really, in a way, burst into the new year to live into our vision and be a force for goodness and healing. And the tradition is such, and the mystical tradition is such, that it's like this happens, and it's all for, ki tov. It's ki tov, right? If we look at the biblical creation story, God created it and saw it was good. Ki tov, ki tov, ki tov. It doesn't say it for humans. It says it for everything else. So we need to go in and realign every year so that we come through into the new year, ki tov, pursuing goodness, pursuing the goodness for all life. And that the vibrations of the shofar, the kol shofar, wake us up to this. Wake us up to this, and wake us up to our capacity to choose the good and live into the good. Humans, we need to choose the good. The trees, the birds, the sky, Shemayim, always declare good. Humans, we need, with the kol shofar at the beginning of creation, realigns us so we can be the good. So we can be the good. And we can live into our soul's capacity and our soul's vision. And the mystics say too that sometimes this waking up of the shofar, the waking up that happens with the kol shofar, can be really painful. It can be really painful. And there's this whole little thing where they talk about it, the pins and needles when, our hand is fallen, our hand or our arm has fallen asleep. And when it starts to wake up, it really hurts. It really hurts. We can't stand right away, or we can't use our arm right away because it really hurts. And so they say that sometimes, the waking up that the kol shofar calls is really painful. And again, it's why it's called Yamim Noraim, why it's called the days of awe. Sometimes our waking up is really painful. It's waking up, and it's painful sometimes to see and feel, the hurts and the pains we've experienced, and the hurts and the pains that we have caused because of our own wounds, right? Our own wounds. And so sometimes the kol shofar feels like hallelujah, and sometimes it feels a little less pleasant, and a lot of times it's a mixture of all of it. So the one mitzvah, Yishmol the kol shofar. It's making sense to folks. We're here. Okay, good. Now what's kind of cool here is this year, the first day of Rosh Hashanah is on Shabbat, a week from the Shabbos. And on Shabbat, it's traditional for the shofar not to be sounded. You don't do the shofar on Shabbat. Now, I have never read an explanation that felt satisfying to me. Okay, I just have never read an explanation that has felt satisfying to me, but I have kind of bowed to that this is the tradition, that we don't blow shofar on Shabbat. I mean, I don't know if maybe other people have heard other good explanations. One of the explanations is that you don't carry on Shabbat, so you don't want to, God forbid, carry the Torah to the shul on Shabbat. You can always leave the shofar in the shul, so I don't understand that one. However, there is a tradition not to blow shofar on Shabbat. And I myself have followed that tradition because I think that there's something every few years, right? I can't remember the last time. It's been a while for me. That I can't remember. It's been all of us, obviously. But every few years, Rosh Hashanah begins on Shabbat, and we don't listen to the kol shofar on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. We do on the second day, but we don't begin by being shaped and realigned by the voice and the call of the shofar. So I've thought about this a lot over the years, and I was thinking about it. I really started thinking about it in a new way just these past few weeks as I was preparing for this. And I'm thinking about, okay, we don't listen to kol shofar, and that's the mitzvah, Yishmo kol shofar. What do we listen to? What do we listen to? What kol, what voice do we turn to hear? And so where that took me is that Rosh Hashanah begins on, when beginning on Shabbat, points us to Shabbat, which is the final day of creation, right? It's part of creation. Shabbat is part of creation. Shabbat is the pause. It's the pause that is part of the creative process, right? Shabbat is part of the creation, the pause that's part of the creative process. So what I kind of have been feeling, and I would love for us to kind of explore this together in our experience on Rosh Hashanah, is that when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbat, what we listen to and listen for is Kol Bereshit, the voice of the beginnings. Kol Bereshit, the voice that comes through creation, the calls that come through creation. That when Rosh Hashanah begins on Shabbat, all is in potential, nothing is yet known. And we enter and, kind of lay ourselves down to the mystery and listen to the Kol Bereshit, the voices of beginnings, the songs of creation coming to be. And it's with the songs of creation, the songs of the beginnings, Bereshit, the songs of creation, that our souls are realigned. Rather than the Kol Shofar, it's Kol Bereshit, the calls that come from creation itself, from the vibrations and the calls and the sounds and the cries of the created world. Of the world, when I'm talking about the created world that's other than humans, right? The created world that is other than human beings. And that when it's Rosh Hashanah, on Shabbat, and we come in and lay ourselves down, and like on every Rosh Hashanah, right? We come in and we bring, we're invited to bring all of who we are, right? All of who we are. We bring our, joyous selves, our beautiful selves, the selves that we love, the selves that we, feel really good about. And we bring the selves, the part of us that's, has pain and hurt and the wounds that we carry. We bring our whole selves and we enter and we say, Hineni, here I am. Here I am. Really, it's like, we've talked about this over the years, right? That could be the whole first few hours of Rosh Hashanah. Hineni, here I am, laying ourselves down. Hineni, here I am. And then at some part of the Rosh Hashanah experience of those 2 days, right, of calling in and laying ourselves down, we rise into creation, guided by Kol Bereshit, guided by the calls of creation. And it's the Kol Bereshit that realigns us as creatures here to be for good and for blessing. So I'm going to stop here for a moment. I'm going to stop here. It's a lot. And just stop for people to have questions. Anybody have a question here? And I like to say that if somebody has a question, somebody else has a question, and they're happy that you asked it. So I can't see everybody. So if you do have a question, you could either raise your hand or you could just unmute yourself and ask the question. Yeah, please, Marla, go ahead. Just unmute yourself.
What if we don't know if we have a soul?
Well, then you come in with that question. You come in with that question. Everything is invited in. Everything, in the Hineni, when we say Hineni, it's not, oh, Hineni, except for this part of me that I don't like so much, or Hineni, except for this part of me that doesn't know. Everything is invited in. And it's literally like there's this sense of Rosh Hashanah. Seriously, I know I keep saying this, but there's a sense of Rosh Hashanah that really we come in and, maybe one day we'll do this, like, just do like a full prostration. Here I am. Here I am with all I know, with all I don't know. Here I am with like the great things I've done, the hurt I've caused. Here I am. And it's like, here I am to be realigned as part of the cosmos. Here I am to be part of the unfolding. Here I am to be a creature among creatures. Here I am. And then there's a sense in Rosh Hashanah, that's all you have to do in a sense. We just have to bring ourselves there. And then the Kol Shofar or Kol Bereshit, this call will does it for us. Do you know what I mean? This is a moment where we let go, we use our volition to get ourselves there. We use our volition to get ourselves there, and then we put it down. We put it down and it's a deep surrender into the mystery, And then we stand. But it's after a very deep surrender into the mystery. So whatever questions or knowing or not knowing is welcome, really welcome, like fully. I hope that's helpful. Another question? Hey, Chris, please.
Hi, could you please say some more about the songs of creation, the sounds of Bereshit? I don't really understand.
Yeah, no, I'm going to, and it's, yeah. And I think part of it, Chris, is, and I'm going to talk about that. That's where we're going. And I'm curious about it because I don't really know. I haven't really thought about it this way before. It's really came to me like in meditation, and it came to me as I was, being with creation. And it came to me really wondering if it's, kol shofar, and we're not listening to kol shofar, what are we listening to for? And it just arose in me that it's kol bereshit. It's these voices that come from creation. And I am going to tell you in a little bit what I have heard and what I think it is. Whether that is it or not, I don't know. But if it's something that kind of rings for you, I would be really interested for you to wonder about it as we go into Rosh Hashanah. So I'm not trying to dodge your question. I'm just so kind of like I'm beginning, like before we go further here, is like it's the vibrations of creation, the vibrations of the trees, the vibrations of the grasses, the vibrations of the rocks, the vibrations of the water. I mean, Rebbe Nachman says all life is, and Rav Kook, all life is singing a song. All creation is singing a song. So it's those songs. It's those songs of rivers, trees, rocks, birds. It's those songs that we listen to. And that's what I'm thinking of is Kol Bereshit. That's like literally the voices of the trees, whatever that means. Does that kind of get there a little bit?
Thank you very much. It does. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks. I appreciate asking. It's really helpful when people ask questions because it helps clarify things for me and for others. Diana, hi, good to see you.
Be here. I feel a little awkward asking this question, but I'll just trust maybe someone has this. I personally can enter into the not knowing, and it feels so real to me. But when I was sitting here, I was thinking, is the not knowing how to integrate that there are things that we know about the way that we treat the earth that are having impact, and the way we treat people that are having impact. And can you bring those two things together for me somehow?
I hope, maybe. Yeah, no, I think that the way I bring them together here is, and it's really, I swear, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of going out on a wide limb here, is that yes, everything we do matters. Every single thing we do matters, right? The way we treat the earth, the way we treat each other, every single thing we do matters. And it has not, the end of the story is not yet written. The end of the story is not yet written. And I guess for me, I must believe what the mystics are saying, that everything is in potential. And when it's not known yet, anything is possible. So when I say that with the mystery and going into the mystery, it's this sense that to realign, to really, really like realign as creatures among creatures here, ki tov, to bring goodness, is that we will realign with this awareness that everything we do matters, and we wreak destruction and pain, but we are realigned in a way that we've been turned, and so our inclination has been purified. This is the prayer, the wish, the hope. Our inclination has been purified, so we act ki tov. We act for good, for the harmony, for the blessings of all life. So that's how I bring it together in a spacious prayer, that's a spacious prayer. Is that help?
Yes, it's really helpful to hold it all together is helpful. That not one side or the other side, but the whole thing together.
The whole thing. And that because everything we do matters. That is why we have to lay ourselves down. Lishmo b'kol shofar, lishmo kol bereshit, to listen and to hear and to just kind of, be in the presence. So we are our soul being, the whole human being is realigned for harmony, for tov.
Thank you.
Maybe so. Thanks. Thank you for the question. Thank you. So I'm going to take this question a question really that all of you guys have asked, and I want to turn us towards Psalm 27, which is the psalm that is traditionally said every day of Elul, that in a way, and this feels like to me, it literally delivers us to the threshold of the new year, right? Psalm 27, you say it every day. And it's, I feel my experience is is that it helps us plant seeds in the Rosh, in the head of the year, to blossom into the year. So Psalm 27 opens, I think somebody is not yet. Somebody unmuted. Psalm 27 opens with a celebration of the divine presence in our life. Havaya ori v'ishi, havaya me'oz chayai. The infinite presence is my light and my salvation. The infinite presence is the strength of my life. Even if an army besieges me, even if, doubts and all these fears rage, that's okay, because the infinite was with me and I have trust. The infinite, I'm not going to be bound by fear. The infinite gives me hope and courage. Even in the face of anything, difficulty and pain, I'm going to have trust. And then, achat sha'alti, what do I seek? I seek to be in the presence all the days of my life. And then the Psalms goes on, the infinite presence protects me and shelters me. The infinite presence lifts me high upon a rock. With the infinite presence, I have a vast and wide perspective. And I'm going to sing, and I'm going to make music to the one. I'm going to make my offerings. I'm going to sing and make music to the one. And it's just such a beautiful expression of trust and courage and possibility and connection with the divine presence, and how that that brings so much joy and gladness and goodness to our lives. It's just so even if an army besieges me, I still will have trust. It's just so wide and big and beautiful. And then it's so great. The psalmist turns and expresses the human condition, the human experience, right? That we're feeling, this happens to me all the time. We're feeling so clear and strong and connected and great, wonderful. And the very next moment, a thought arises, something happens. I don't know. I hear a newscast, or even mostly just a thought arises in my mind. And all of a sudden, and this is what the psalmist expressed, all of a sudden, I'm so frightened, right? The psalmist becomes so frightened. Where are you, God? Don't turn away from me. I'm so alone. Oh my God, where'd you go? There's so much to fear. I'm surrounded by destruction and falseness. I'm surrounded by forces breathing violence and terror. There was a moment, you're with me, everything is so wonderful. And then oh no, don't give me over to the soul of what is hateful. Don't let me be consumed by violence and dread. It's just such a beautiful exposition of us as humans. We're connected, we're close, we're filled with trust and courage and faith, and we can do anything, and we've got a huge perspective, and we're singing to, to the one. And then it's oh my God, I'm so scared. This is terrible. What's going to happen? Oh my God, help me. Oh no, you're not here. I'm being consumed by violence. I'm going to be consumed by fear. I feel in the clutches of hatred and the clutches of dread and the clutches of terror. It's so human. It's so human. The faith and trust and courage, and then the doubt and the fear and the terror. Faith, courage, doubt, fear, terror. And then the psalm, then this is where the psalm unfolds. And then we come to the end of the psalm, and we're going to really look at the last two verses of the psalm. And this has been really calling to me. And I've been sitting with this psalm, and I know I've talked about it in this way before, but it is calling to me in a way this year that just feels startling, in a way almost like I've never heard it before, though I have, and I've even taught it, but not like this. Where at the end of the psalm it says, "Lulei ha'amanti lirot betuv chavaya be'eretz chayim." Lulei, if only I had the faithfulness, if only I had the emunah, if only I had the faithfulness to see the goodness in the lands of life. Lulei ha'amanti lirot betuv chavaya be'eretz chayim. If I only had the faithfulness, so that in the face of untruths, of falseness, in the face of violence, in the face of the hatred that arises within and without me, I could see the good, the possibilities for life. It's such a deep yearning. If only I could see beyond and through all the destruction, devastation, and despair, and see the good in the lands of life. If only. Then the final line of the psalm that brings us to the edge of the new year. It's like the final word before we cross over into Rosh Hashanah. Kaveh el Havaya, Hazak v'yametz libecha, v'kaveh el Yah. Hope into the unfolding mystery. May our hearts be strong and filled with courage. Hope into the unfolding mystery. The final lines of the psalm, right? The last words, like the very last words before we enter into the next year, 5784, is the call in the face of beauty and devastation, in the face of magnificence and destruction, to hope into the unfolding mystery. Kaveh el Havaya. And it's in a command form. We are thrust into the new year with the command, Kaveh el Havaya, to hope, to hope. It's a command to hope into the unfolding mystery. Kaveh el Havaya, hope into the unfolding mystery. Our hearts will be strong and filled with courage. And then it repeats itself. If you didn't get it the first time, it repeats itself. Kaveh el Havaya, hope into the unfolding mystery. The Hebrew word, kaveh, it's the command form. The Hebrew word that's familiar to you is probably tikva, right? Tikva is hope. And it's hope, but like all Hebrew words, right? It's so much more. And the word hope, which is a beautiful word, it doesn't even come close to the vibration, I think, of what this word is. And this is something that I've talked about it a little bit before, but there's something very new for me about this. And it's something that I'm just really like coming into, but it feels like, and I don't usually teach something when it's so new, but it feels so strong and so powerful that there was nothing else I could really talk about here. And so I really want to think together and kind of explore what this command is. What is this command, Kaveh el Havaya, that brings us into the new year, to hope into the unfolding mystery? So what is tikva? What is tikva? And of course, I don't know, right? I don't know, but I'm going to tell you what I've been sitting with and exploring, reading about, wondering about, but mostly sitting with, right? That tikva is not a thought. Even though it's a noun here, it's not a thought, and it's not a rational idea. Tikva is not a product of the mind, okay? It really is not a product of the mind. The tikva, okay, again, I don't know. This is my sense of it, that it is a force. It's an energy. It is actually an energy force in the universe, in the cosmos. It is the energy force that enables us to have the faithfulness to see the good in the lands of life, even as we also see the destruction. Tikva is a force and energy in the cosmos that does not allow us to become captive to the horrors and does not allow us to be felled by despair. Tikva is a force in the cosmos that raises us up, that literally raises us up and propels us forward when the mind says to us, all is lost. When the mind says, all is lost, forget it, man, it is over. Tikva is the force that gets us up, that gets us going. Tikva is the force that breaks through despair and opens up the realms of possibilities we have not yet seen or imagined. Tikva is the force that reminds us of the truth that just because we can't conceive it, or just because we haven't imagined it yet, does not mean it can't happen. Right? because as human beings right now, we cannot imagine how there could be full-on healing, how this earth can come back to its abundant magnificence. Just because we can't imagine that, how that could happen, does not mean that it can't happen. And that's what Tikva says. Don't be felled by the limits of your mind. Don't be felled by the limits of your mind. And in order to really kind of bring this home from the Psalm, so cool. We've looked at this before, but every time I get this, it's so cool. Right in the second to last line of the Psalm, where it says, "Lulei hamante rot betuha vaya be'eretz chaim." If only I could see the goodness. If only I had the faith. If only I had the faithfulness in life to see the goodness. Right, lulei, which is lamed vav lamed aleph. When you literally turn that word around, you get aleph lamed vav lamed, and it spells Elul. It spells Elul. So tikva is the energy that turns lulei to Elul. Tikva is the energy that turns the verse of the Psalm, that turns the cosmic forces, that turns us from regret, from despair, from being, captured by terror and fear. Literally, it is the force that turns, if only I could, to yes, yes, yes. I will have the faithfulness in life itself to see the good in the lands of life. Tikva is the energy that turns lulei to Elul. Take a breath here, because I got more on tikva. I have more to go. A question about this part of the lulei and the tikva in the Psalm. Please ask if you want, because I'm going to give another aspect of tikva here. You guys with me here so far? Okay. So tikva, a force that turns if only into I will have the faithfulness in life itself to see the good in the lands of life. Lerot betuv havaya be'eretz chaim, to see the good of the unfolding in the lands of life and align myself for and with the good. Tikva is the force that turns us towards that. And, this is so cool. The tradition teaches, and the mystics love this, I love this too, that we learn a lot about a word from its rosh, from the first place it comes in the Torah. That it gives us kind of secret energy and more information about it. So it's so cool. The first place that tikva comes, love this, is in the creation story. Right? This is just works so well. It's in the creation story. Verse 9, chapter 1, verse 9. And when God is creating the world, and says, Vayomer Elohim, God spoke, Yikavu hamayim matakat hashemayim el makom echad. So God spoke, and Yikavu, gathered. It's the word here, tikva, the word tikva in the creation story means to gather. God spoke and gathered the waters from underneath, gathered the waters underneath the Shemayim, and gathered the waters underneath the Shemayim, and the water to the Mayim underneath the Shemayim, gathered the waters underneath the Shemayim to Makom Echad, to one place, so that dry land would appear. So God tikvavu, God tikvad, the Mayim, gathered the waters to one place so dry land would appear. So tikva at its root, at its inception, at its rosh, is a gathering together for the sake of the earth. It's a gathering together for the sake of creation. That is the rosh of tikva. The rosh of tikva is the coming together for the sake of creation. And for the sake of earth herself, for the sake of earth's health and well-being. Tikva is the gathering for the sake of Earth's health and well-being. And if that's not cool enough, right? Is that awesome? Is that not cool enough? The mystics, you know how they like to do this. They go on to say, well, Tikva is a gathering together. So they call it. So what they also have said is that it is a cord that binds. It's a cord that binds. And so what they say about Tikva and the energy of Tikva is a cord that binds and connects us to each other. And that Tikva is a cord that we can reach for and hold on to in chaos and confusion. It's like this energetic energy that we can hold on to in chaos and confusion. I was with my son and he was like wave riding behind a boat, you know, and he was holding on to this cord and all these waves were going and, you know, and he was holding on. I was like, that's Tikva. Tikva is that cord that helps us ride the waves of life. And that when we fall down, right? When he fell down, he picked up the cord and got back up. So Tikva is this force and energy, a gathering for the sake of Earth. And it also, like the mystics teach, it becomes a cord that connects us to each other, connects us to the source that we can hold on to in the chaos and the confusion of life that helps us keep getting ready to get back up, helps us get back up. So Tikva turns us, propels us to see life in its full complexity, and then break through that and see Tov Havaya Be'eretz Chaim, see the goodness that unfolds in the lands of life, And so here, Chris, I'm going to come to your question here. What is the call of Bereshit? And so I think, what I know, this is what I'm hearing, okay? I swear to God, man, this is what I'm hearing. That the call from creation, like really the call from Bereshit is for us to have Tikva, for us to like Kaveh El Havaya, for us to like hold on to that cord, for us to like really like allow Tikva to turn us from Lule to yes, I will have the emunah to see the goodness in the lands of life. And I want to say, and do I know? I don't know, but my sense, and this is what I'm going to listen for. The Kol Bereshit is a call to Tikva. It is a call to Kaveh El Havaya. It is a call from Kol Bereshit. It's a call from creation. It is, you saw it in chapter 1, verse 9. And I want to say, I am saying this from my experience. What do I know? But this is my experience, that it is a call from the trees, from the rocks, from the birds, from the ocean, calling to us as human beings, really, human beings aligned for creation, Kaveh El Havaya, to have the faithfulness, to allow Tikva to lift us up, propel us forward, to hold on to gather for the sake of Earth, so we can see the goodness in the lands of life. I really feel like, look at the trees, look at the birds. I mean, they're still singing. The butterflies are still flying. The trees are still standing, right? And I feel like they're calling to us, see the good. See the good. Look at us. See the good. I feel like, the earth is saying, see, lerot betuv havaya be'eretz hayim, kaveh el havaya. See the good in the lands of life. Let your heart be strong and filled with courage. See the good in the lands of life. We need this from you. We need this from you. So I dare say that Kol Bereshit, the voices of creation, are the voices of the trees, the birds, the waters, the sky, calling us to enter into Rosh Hashanah, Kaveh El Havaya, hearing the call, the command for Tikva, and the command to see the goodness in the lands of life, to see the goodness in the lands of life. And if we think of this neurologically, we think about this, right? We think about this, and everybody tells us this, all the studies tell us this. Energy follows attention. What we give our attention to, the body, the soul, the words, the deeds align with. Energy follows attention, right? That's a thing that we know. When we only see the destruction, when we focus on the destruction, when we focus on the despair, when we focus on the catastrophe, not that they're not there, they are there, a trillion percent. But if that is all we see, that is what we are going to be aligned with. And that is what we're going to be aligned for. And I'm going to be audacious and say, I feel like the trees and the sky, I feel like they're calling us to see the good. To see the good. So we will be aligned for the good, and that through our lives, good will come into the world. That this is what Kol Bereshit is calling. And if I happen to be wrong, well, it's still a great thing to do, right? It's still a great thing to do, right? It's still a great thing to do. But what if it's right? What if the trees and what if the earth, what if they really do need us to see the good, and our seeing the good really will make a difference? It's a beautiful thing to see the good. And it's hard. And it is really hard because now, since I've been working with this, I've been working with this really for most of Elul. And it is really hard. It is really hard. The mind gets so in the way. The mind gets so in the way. The mind gets so in the way. So how to? How to this? How to turn lule from if only to like, yeah, I will have the faithfulness in life to see the good and the unfolding mystery, and align for Eretz Chaim, align for the life of all the world. Right? This is a big ask. This is a big ask. And I feel like this is like, what if this is Rosh Hashanah's ask? Right? To see the good and the unfolding mystery, to see the good in the unfolding mystery, and align for Eretz Chaim, align for the life of earth and all the world. And so how to? It is a very deep practice. And I really feel like it's, it's a bow to the mystery. It is a deep bow to the mystery. And in the bow to the mystery, it's like, help us, please. Help us, please. Help us, please. Help us, please. I don't think you could say it enough. Help us, please. Please help. And it's a bow to the mystery. It's like, I'm only a human being, and, help us. I ask of the trees all the time, help us. And it's a practice. It's a practice seeing the good. It's a practice, and how it is. I'm sure I'm speaking for all of us, right? The mind goes, oh, that's so good. That's so beautiful. How wonderful. Yeah, but what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? It's just like I was diving today in the woods, and it's like, oh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, but it's so hot, and the trees maybe they don't have enough water. And it's just like, are you kidding? Can I just be like with the beauty of the trees for 1 second? So it's a practice of seeing the good. And every day this for this last, this last week of the year, three times, see 3 good things a day. 3 good things a day, whether it's, 3 good, just name it. This is good. Keto, this is good. This is good. Wow. This is a really, this isn't tea, but I love my tea. This is a really keto. This is a good cup of tea. Just name the good. Name the good. This is a good moment. I had a good swim. All right. It's good to see you. Wow. What a good song. This is a really good cup of soup. It's just easy. It's easy, but it makes a difference. It creates, it creates pathways in the brain. We're changing the brain. We can change the evolution of human beings. That's what we have to do. So change the brain. So it's noticing the good. And it's, and then it's giving thanks. Giving thanks. It's so, it's not, sometimes it feels trite to keep saying it, but there's, as we know, there's nothing trite about giving thanks. There is zero trite about giving thanks. And try, walking down the street and giving thanks to the trees, giving thanks to the birds. I found some beautiful, today outside, there was a woodpecker. There was a woodpecker on the deck. It was like, whoa, thank you. Just give thanks. Give thanks. Again, it changes the pathways of the brain. And the other thing is, if it calls to it all, I do this. I call on the ancestors and I ask them for help. I do. I call on the ancestors and I ask them for help. The helpful ancestors. I call on the helpful ancestors and ask for help. And then one of my favorite teachers, Terry Tempest Williams, she talks about, really listening into the calls of future generations and how the future generations are praying for us. So I would, invite us, this last week of the year to practice seeing the good and name it. There's a good cup of tea. That was a good meal. That was a good movie. I had a good sleep, to give thanks often, as much as we can, say thank you. To call on the ancestors, to call on the generations to come. There's a sense here that tikva is a force. Again, it's a force. And it's kind of like tshuva in the sense that it's a force. Like we just have to do a small turn towards it. And then we're going to be lifted and carried. We're going to be lifted and carried. And so there's this sense of, practicing so we can be lifted and carried by tikva, and that somehow embody this. So we bring that tikva is in the Rosh and expands into the year and enables us to see the good in the lands of life, to have the faithfulness to see the good in the lands of life, to align for good, and to bring goodness and healing to the world. Goodness and healing. And that this is something that we could do. This is something that we could do. And one more thing about tikva before I go on, I just have one other piece I want to bring in here is, because tikva is first introduced as a gathering together, right? It's a gathering of the waters. So there could be dry land. That tikva is, I feel like, is learned about and expanded and like propelled in community, that it's with each other that tikva, that we learn about tikva. It's with each other that tikva becomes revealed. And it's with each other that tikva begins to be a force that shapes the way that we live our lives. And I found this beautiful quote from Emily Dickinson. Listen to this. It says, "Hope inspires the good to reveal itself," right? Tikva inspires the good to reveal itself. So Lulehem Mante Derot Betuv Havaya Be'eretz Chaim Kavelia Chazak V'Yimetzubecha B'Kavelia. I will have the faithfulness in life to see the good in the unfolding creation and align myself with Eretz Chaim. Align myself for the good of all life. Kaveil Chavaya, tikva, into the unfolding. My heart will be strong and filled with courage. Tikva, into the unfolding. So that is a huge piece of what we bring into the new year. And I want to bring one more piece here. But let's pause for questions. I have one more piece I want to bring. Let's pause. If anybody, I'm sure there's questions here, but might not be able to ask a question right now. But if you do have a question, please, you could see how helpful it is when people bring questions. Julie, yeah, please. Hi.
Thank you. Hi. It's a lot and it's all amazing. Question. Is there a way to focus, to synopsize, for lack of a better word, that could come to our minds? This is just a lot. Like, I can think of each of these things, but I will not remember every day how to start it.
Yeah, I got you.
Do you understand? You understand?
I do. Yeah, I do. And On Sunday, on Sunday, we're gonna put this into practice. That's why I wanted to like
Okay,
kind of this information out tonight. And then Sunday, God willing, right? God willing, like, we're kind of put it into practice. And, and I know it's a lot, but I would start here by seeing, I don't know, like, I totally get, I would start even just with that last line of Psalm 27, Ve'el Chavaya, just hope into the unfolding. Just start there, hope into the unfolding. Hope into the unfolding. And we will sit with that on Sunday. We will sit with that on Sunday. And yes, it is a lot. And it doesn't have to be everything. It doesn't have to be everything. And again, and we'll go over this on Sunday, we bring ourselves there, and it kind of happens, when we bring ourselves there.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Julie.
Sure.
Thanks. Somebody else? I don't see everybody, so if you do.
I have a question.
Hi, Luke.
Hi. I feel like I've been sort of trying to do a similar practice, and one of the things that I'm struggling with is sort of focusing on the good. And one of the things that I'm struggling with is when I'm focused on the good, I get really irritated with other people who are not focusing on the good, which then is like, kind of like draws me back into that like frustration and fault finding. And I'm curious, like, if you have any thoughts about how to do that in a way that's generous to other people's different experiences.
Oh God, Luke, it's such a great thing that you said that. It's such a human thing, man. That's just so human. I don't mean to laugh, but I just know it so well. It's just such a human thing. I totally know. I mean, I think, look, I think it's all a practice, the generosity is a practice. The generosity is a practice. It's all a practice. And, I think that, maybe a response can be to begin with a response to yourself, like with some compassion. Wow, look, I'm trying to feel the good. This person is not feeling the good. It's driving me crazy. I'm not feeling the good, and just be like, whoa, that's kind of a drag, and just kind of come towards compassion, come towards rachamim, come towards compassion, and that usually kind of calms the system, at least for a little bit. And it's always good to put some rachamim into the system. Yeah, thanks for that very, real human thing there. Thank you. All right, I'm going to say, I want to say one more thing, and then we'll have more questions. So I also love this kind of thing. So this is connected to the tikva, not leaving that, but this is a little bit of a, kind of a whatever, looking at it. So it's fun. I like to kind of think of the new year, 5784, whereas the mystics do, with the practice of gematria, which is the practice that assigns letters. Numbers, assigns letters to the numbers. So 5784, we'll take the 84. The 80 is a pay, the letter pay, and the 4 is a dalet. So we're coming into the year pay dalet. So I was thinking about what is pay dalet, and I got two things that came up for me. So it's petach hadelet, the opening of the doorway, and petach haderech, the opening of the path. And so coming to 5784, we are like we always are, but there's a special quality. There's a special openness to the delit. There's a special openness to the doorway, and a special openness to the derech, to the path. And there's a sense that we come to this moment of petach hadelit, petach haderech, the opening of the doorway, the opening of the path, and like really kind of wonder very gently, very, very, very gently, what doors do I want to help open this year? What paths do I want to walk? There's, we come into Rosh Hashanah and we kind of let go of volition, and lay ourselves down. And then we do stand up, right? We do stand up and take our places. And we'll kind of do some of this on Sunday. We do stand up and take our places. And so, for 5784, to wonder really gently, what doors do I want to help open? And what paths do I want to walk? And you might want to even, do a little writing about that. And we might do some of that on Sunday. I'm not sure yet, but probably a little bit, just to kind of really gently wonder again, because energy follows attention. And if there are intentions we want to bring into Rosh Hashanah with us, this could be a very helpful way to frame it. And it's a way, it's like when Abraham sat Petzach HaOchel, he sat at the opening of the tent. And it's kind of cool because that's the parsha we read on Rosh Hashanah, so it has a resonance there. So we sit Petach HaDerech, we sit at the opening of the path. And you choose one path and not the other path. One path appears, another path doesn't appear. But if we had a choice, what paths do we want to walk? What paths do we want to walk? And what doors do we want to help open or have open? And you could think of it as this is an invitation to think about really for yourself, right? Of course, we want to open up doors of justice and peace and goodness. Of course. And it's also okay. And it's also important, right? To realign with our soul mission and to wonder for ourselves, for my own self, what paths do I want to open? What doors do I want to open? And that's a beautiful part of the preparation also. And it's helpful, right? It's helpful when we're aligned in our lives. It's good for everybody. So it's not just like it's myself. It's good for everybody. So it could be a very lovely way. We'll talk about this more on Sunday, but it could be a very lovely way to align ourselves. So I want to just give one more example of tikva, and this is really where I started thinking about it a lot. So this summer, as I was supposed to go to Vermont. We didn't go to Vermont because of the flooding and all the destruction that was happening in Vermont. So so we ended up going to the Adirondacks, which was just amazingly beautiful, just like amazingly beautiful and wonderful. And we went, like everybody, just aware of the fragility of life and the fragility of the planet, and kind of the disasters and the destruction that we are all experiencing, and we had a really wonderful time. And we also kind of had a heavy heart, feeling very badly about what was happening in Vermont, and feeling badly for their land and for the people whose livelihoods, just all of it, right? All of it. And so we were kind of holding that on the trip. And we ended up on this beautiful pond. I mean, this really beautiful pond in the backwoods where we had a kayak to get into. And there was, around the pond, there were fallen trees. And it's a small pond, and we were going around the pond. And as we were going around the pond, we noticed there was a lot of growth on the fallen trees, like a lot. I mean, there was moss, of course, but then there were plants on the fallen trees, and there were actually trees growing on the fallen trees. I mean, there was so much growth on the fallen trees. And we're like, whoa, man, that is really cool. And then we were going around, and Etcha noticed actually that the shoreline, a lot of the shoreline of the pond was land and trees that grew on the fallen trees. That the trees that had fallen had been given birth to all this new life, to all this to trees and to bushes and to all this life where animals were thriving and living in. And other folks might have seen this before, but I've seen things grown on fallen trees, yes, but I have not seen it in such depths that the earth itself was becoming from the fallen trees. And that is when I first started thinking about this Lirot betuv chavaya be'eretz chaim. Right? Can I see? And can we see? Like, yes, yes, all the destruction. And what if we could also see the life that is possible and the life that is growing? Where the life that is possible, the life that is growing. And that Rosh Hashanah asks us, really, Elul delivers us, and Rosh Hashanah asks us to step into a moment where everything is back into potential. And the book is not yet written, right? The book of life is open before you. Will be written, it can kind of get rid of the around that, but really kind of feel like it hasn't been written yet. It hasn't been written yet. And with our presence and our participation, our capacity to hold that I'm just a speck and everything I do matters, and our willingness to gather, right? To have tikva, to gather for the sake of earth. And our curiosity and wonder about this force of tikva that turns us and propels us forward even when all feels lost. That if we can place this in the Rosh and we can embody this, and then we step into the new year, dedicated and faithful to life and faithful to seeing the good in the lands of life, then perhaps we can help right in the book and right in the unfolding of creation, a healing beyond our wildest dreams. Let us listen to Kol Bereshit. Let us listen to the trees and the birds. They are singing, they are still singing, and they are still flying, and they need us. They need us as participants in this unfolding of creation. Let us be audacious, and let us be chutzpahdik to heed the command, Kaveh el Chavaya. I will hope into this unfolding mystery. I will do my best to have a heart that is strong and filled with courage. And I will hope into this unfolding mystery. Oh my God, may it be so. May it be so. Amen, 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 amen. Thank you for receiving this. As you can see, it's very close to my heart and soul here. And with I'm not saying this with blinders on, but I'm saying this like eyes wide open of the world that we're in, and like having to believe that it's not over. It is not over. This is not over yet. And we still have the potential to to create human beings into beings that can and will bring forth the good in the lands of life. And even if we don't see all that good in our lifetime, that is okay. Let us be creatures and let us be beings upon whom that goodness and that new growth and that new earth takes root and grows for blessing. May it be so, everybody. Please, 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 soon in our days. Thank you for receiving this very emotional offering. Really appreciate being here with you, and to be able to be real in this with everybody feels very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. Thank you. So on Sunday, we'll gather again at 11 Eastern time and early on Western time. And we're going to do a lot of meditation. We're going to do a lot of sitting. We're going to do a lot of sitting with this. We're going to do, different practices, but a lot of sitting with different kind of modalities, but just really to kind of tenderize ourselves for the new year. there'll be some writing. There will be some time. We will do some writing about this derech. I had some cool stuff around that, around the derech. So bring something to write with. There'll be time to, there'll probably be like, it's not a very long time that we're together. So there'll probably be, like 35 minutes or so, 35, 40 minutes for like a break. So I'll send out a note, but, have some snacks and drinks at the ready. So, you don't have to start preparing something. And, it'll be, I'm looking forward to, having a time to, and I, like Julie said, right, this is a lot. And, you take what you can, you leave the rest. And, just let, if there's one thing that arises for you, take that. And, we'll kind of bring it just out of like only like the head experience and bring it into the body more on Sunday. And Rebecca will be sending out a schedule for the retreat day, as well as some texts. I have some very nice things on hope from different people that I'll send to you. I think it's a nice thing to take a look at. And so you'll have that. So watch for that before Shabbat. And also this will be, the video will be available, and the video will be available from Sunday too. So everybody, Seichem l'shalom, go in peace. Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom. So for for Shabbos, this last Shabbos of the year, and this, just for Shabbos, practice seeing the good, say thank you a lot, and just practice seeing the good and say thank you. That would be when Julie said like what to do. That's it. It's a really good cup of tea. Thank you so much. Just that, and just enjoy that, right? Just enjoy that.
I just want to mention there's a town in Israel called Petach Tikva.
Oh yeah, there you go. Thank you. All right, I see Kay has a question. I want to be good about time. We're just about out of time here. I will stay on, as I do for a little while longer. If anybody has any questions or wants to share anything that arose for you, and everybody else, I'll stay on if you'd like for a few minutes. And everybody else, say Shalom, go in peace, go in goodness. L'tuv havaya be'eretz chaim, kavei aliyah chazak v'yimetz lebeka v'kavei aliyah. And let us be beings that see the good and bring the good, for love and for healing. Thanks, everybody. See you. Shabbat Shalom, and see you on Sunday.